Hi, everyone. Welcome to an unusual worship today at Urban Village Church. Today is Choose Your Own Adventure worship. So many of you are on adventures around the city, around in your homes, doing different things. You're napping, you're cooking, you're dancing to house music, you are hiking. But for those of you who have come here, we're going to be doing a coloring and arts worship. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that is in a minute. But first, we want to give some time for people to gather. So please drop in the comments a hello, say good morning to everybody if you can. And we'd love to hear from you. What is one art that you love to practice? Do you love to draw? Do you love to mold? What are things that you think are great? And if you hear anything odd, drop a comment too so we can fix it. And welcome our initial guest, Juan Pablo Herrera, our church planting resident. Hey, Juan
Hi.
Pablo.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. I'm excited. I've never actually colored really for as a spiritual practice. So
yeah,
it's kind of new.
I do it all the time. So I'll guide you through a little bit. I was telling somebody when my oldest child was like 2 years old, I love them dearly, but I was getting a little like, I can't do things every minute. It's too many. And my mom said, just wait. Soon she'll learn to color. Yeah. And she'll just be able to sit for an hour by herself. So we do a lot of coloring. Well, Matilda loves to paint and draw. That is a beautiful art. What are some of the other arts out there that are spiritual practices for you folks? Hello, April.
Hi, April.
Oh, Kim likes to draw cats specifically. I love that.
I wonder if that's with pencils or is it watercolors? I'd love to know that.
Okay. Well, so drawing not for you, Juan Pablo, but are there forms of art and creativity that have been important spiritual practices for you?
I like to dance. And so when I was younger, I wish that I had joined one of the praise dance teams that they had. And at one point I did, and I liked it. I just felt, at that moment that it wasn't for me. And I've now picked it up over the last few years, just dancing, especially country line dancing.
I love that. We still need to go all see you country line dancing church trip sometime. That would be really fun. This is part of the point of today. This Choose Your Own Adventure worship is communal worship is one of the most life-changing things for me. Singing with people, hearing the word with people, interpreting it together, being in that room or on that Zoom or whatever it is extraordinary. It's a way to praise God. It's a way to know God, but it's not the only way. And we thought that this time when all of us were sort of having to adjust in every area of our lives anyway, was a good time to explore the other ways that we can worship God. And one of the ones that's often left out or left behind are these arts and crafts that are a huge part of people's lives, but that we don't explicitly name as acts of co-creation with God, right? Mm-hmm. Drawing, singing, but also I was thinking things like knitting, woodworking. These are things that people find a lot of meditative practice in, but also get to know God better through. I draw lots of baby shark. Used to paint acrylic. I love that. Watercolors. Okay.
I'm not sure. Well, you didn't really grow up in church, but me, I grew up in going to summer camp. And one of the things, they always had this cabin where you could go and do work with leather and stamp it and, make keychains or belts or anything like that. And I just never thought that while I was doing that and stamping, Jesus, fish symbol or putting words under like love, that was actually a spiritual practice. And I wonder if they did it that way.
Yeah. I think it is. Leatherworking seems really advanced. Like that seems like a very fancy creativity.
It was summer camp for teenagers, so they pre-cut everything for us.
Nice. Okay. Any other forms of art that are meaningful to you, or would anyone like to say hello to the gathered community? We have this great opportunity to be live, and so to actually see one another's names and know what's going on. Any other forms of art anyone wants to share? Okay. Singing is a big one, it sounds like. I used to run the arts and crafts station for our camps and I miss it. So people used to make your experience possible, Juan Pablo. That's really incredible. I do think this is one reason why we chose coloring for today is that, community gardening. A lot of people begin to associate these kinds of artistic, spiritual practices with childhood. They think that they're things you're only allowed to do when you're a kid or things that primarily kids do. And so a lot of us, as we grow and become adults, lose our sense of playfulness, our sense of playfulness with God and playfulness and spirituality, of openness to what may be and what may come. But that playfulness, I think, is actually a central part of knowing who God is and what God is about. So we're about to get started here on engaging our playfulness, our relationship with God, our fun alternative way of worship with coloring. But I do want to drop the links to a couple others in case you had not heard. There are a couple other opportunities today. One, we have folks doing a nap worship. So if you need rest, if you need that Sabbath reminder, if you need to sleep, you go take a nap, you go sleep. Here, this link is to our Love Poems to God worship. So Grant Swanson, who teaches creative writing, will be helping us to write love poems to God, whether you consider yourself to be a writer or not. And then we have Pastor D'Angelo is leading a backroom congregation, which is going to be a celebration of house music invented right here in Chicago. And it's going to be dancing as a way of knowing God and as a way of worshiping. Dance like David danced, y'all. And here is backroom congregation. And we can all, I think, pray for those folks who are on the hike this morning, that no one gets frostbite, that no one becomes an ice cube, that everyone is happy, whole, and healthy. Yeah. And we will get started on our thing. So Juan Pablo, I saw that you had already started coloring a little bit before we began. Would you like to share with the group?
Sure. I found this, first I wanted to say that when my children were younger, I put them in this art class. And the teacher really, one time I asked my son, you're coloring over the line. And she shared how sometimes we stop our children's creativity, that they start to learn that they have to color within the lines because we tell them that that's how art is supposed to look. But if you let your kids and yourself just freely express yourself, I think that that's where your spirit can kind of lead you. But I chose this art here, and I started already coloring it with kind of be a little queer there with my rainbow colors. And I'm actually trying to find out what the colors mean. So like blue means I thought it was integrity, and light blue relaxation. So I'm trying to choose colors that will mean something to me. But also this is someone that's kind of exploring a new planet, and that's how I feel with exploring a new site for Urban Village in Latinay. So I'm going to try to make myself as colorful as I can in this piece.
I love that. There's so many reasons that we pick the things we do as our artistic practice, and I am not at all an artist, and yet this is a huge part of my spiritual life. I wanted to show people a couple of examples of things you could do. We do praying in color often at the church, which is, right, taking a blank piece of paper and simply beginning to draw the names of the things you're praying for. The people, right, the issues, drawing little symbols. I'll sometimes draw like a loaf of bread if I'm praying for somebody to have what they need that day, or I'll start to draw little circles if I'm not quite sure what'll happen next. Praying in color in this really open way. Or some people prefer more structured, right? Like it makes them a little nervous to have this open sheet of paper. And so there are a lot of really wonderful coloring books out there. This is one thing that my family kind of splurges on. So we got last month for our Names of God sermon series, Names of God coloring books and cards, where we could color in different names of God, like the Almighty. And then this month we have our Black Heroes, Black History Month coloring book. And so I'll be coloring in a hero today. And then we have done, as the whole church, coloring of Jesse tree ornaments for Advent. So each one is a representation of a different biblical story. So you can have that structure, or you can go totally free form and just find what makes things beautiful for you. One way that people have done art also at UVC, you've probably seen them at our Pride parades, is icons. So this is an ancient form of artistic Christian practice where you draw the face of a saint that is meaningful to you, or the face of Jesus, or a moment from Jesus's life, and you can surround it with words or thoughts about what that moment means for you. So everybody can pick something different, but go grab your paper, your pens, your markers. You can do this in black and white. I've got some colored pencils right here. That's what I'll be using. Or
more organized than me.
Yeah. Those are beautiful too. I love it. Put it into a jar. And we also have some Play-Doh if you have anything in your house that you want to do a little bit unusual art with. So hello to everyone. Welcome. Join those other links if you're interested in poetry or dance. And if you're going to stick around here, let's begin to color together. And this is going to be a really quiet, peaceful, meditative space. We welcome you to do anything you want, and please share. We'll check in about every 10 minutes or so, maybe 5 minutes or so, with a different prompt so that we can hear from you about your spiritual life and what you have to teach folks, because we can put comments up here so you can see them from everybody in the community. And we will just be drawing together, because sometimes worship is calming and peaceful and fun, and morning at the table where you see where the colors are bringing you. So just begin to see. Okay, if you are in the coloring zone, you are connected to God, the colors are flowing out of your fingers, you're feeling good, you keep doing it. But for those who want, we're going to do our first check-in and discussion about what this might mean to us as a form of worship of God. I know for me, one thing that's really moving and important about coloring is that it's not a skill that I have. And so I can't have the goal of being good at it. I can only have the goal of entering into it, and entering into that kind of state of presence, of just awareness and acceptance of what is, I think is often what truly communing with God is about. Juan Pablo, how about you? What are you reflecting on? Also, Chan wants to know what it is that you're drawing. So you might
I
want to.
actually I googled free adult coloring pages, and this one had different images depending on your faith. Even it had Christian. It had some photos for Buddhist, and so I chose this one. And Chana, I was saying that to me, it shows someone that's kind of exploring, maybe in a new place, a new land here with a new planet or so, or a moon. And so it's something that is reminding me of the work that I'm doing as a church planter. But yes, I'm finding myself trying to let go of choosing the right colors. And I did that when I started choosing a yellow here, and I'm like, oh, yellow and red. And again, I'm trying to let go of those like kind of chains that kind of bind me when it comes to being creative or just letting go. And so as I go on, this has a lot of little spaces. So I think that that will help me kind of focus in really on the prayers that I have when it comes to next steps, for my own life and for ministry and relationship. So
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I think one of the ways that coloring can be used is a sort of discernment, right? Like entering into the space where you can really hear the voice of God and be connected to God. And I love what you said about finding the free coloring pages, because I would commend to everybody, if you're into sort of geometric stuff rather than figurative stuff, there's a lot of beautiful squares, mandalas. I have one of math that you can just print for free from the internet. So we'd love to hear from you what you're coloring. Please drop a comment. I saw one person say, I color my hair non-traditional colors. That's how coloring is a part of my spiritual practice. Let us know how drawing, the arts, and coloring are working in your spiritual life, and let's keep going. I'm here drawing the concept of hope, which has been really moving me. So let's keep going. Thank you, Oliver, for telling us that the coloring is beautiful. We're going to do another little check-in here since we've been going on for some amount of time. And that I think is one of the real values to me of this worship service where we are taking time to color together is that I will do this for a little bit at home as an act of prayer. But if I was at home leading my regular life, I would have stopped by now. I would have said, oh, there's something I should go get done, right? I should go do the dishes. I should go finish a task. I should go say this or that. But because I'm with you all, because I'm doing in this in community, because I've given it the weight of calling it an act of worship, I'm staying at it longer and I'm learning more. The metaphors I was using at the beginning of my drawing, I realized I was a balloon for hope, a bird and an egg for hope. These are ones that occur to me a lot. But then just now, I've been thinking that the last few years have felt like there were a lot of lightning strikes of unexpected and unwelcome fear. And kind of what I'm craving is like a dark and peaceful night. And that feels like a Holy Spirit way of entering into what I need next that I wouldn't have discovered if I hadn't taken the time. So I wonder for you, Juan Pablo, how's it feeling for you?
It was interesting that I actually wanted to stop and write a word that came to my mind. And specifically, I was thinking about the story in Mark where Jesus had just finished exorcising a demon. It's in our lectionary for this week. And they go to Simon's house, and Peter's mother-in-law is sick. And it just says that Jesus took her, went to her, took her, and gave her his hand, and she was healed. And right after that, it just doesn't say much about her. It just says she started serving them, and that's just that kind of feeling came over me of service out of this gratitude, or this not a service as I'm forced to do it. And so those kinds of thoughts were coming through my head as I was coloring this specific image, because I was mostly thinking about what should I do next, or how do I continue this work.
It's beautiful to take the time and to need the time to commune with God. And
Right.
so we invite you to drop in the comments anything this is bringing up for you, anything that it's made meaningful for you, and also to fill out the connect card at bit.ly/UVC Connect, rolling along the bottom of the screen, to get connected to any of the other things that are going on at church this week or any week. Different worship services, social times. We got a game night coming up. We just had a Heart of Worship music night. So make sure to fill that out, and let's keep coloring.
We also have a lot of small groups that are starting very soon and started. So those are exciting.
Hello, everybody. So Juan Pablo has gone off to start another worship service that he's doing this morning, but we are still here. And you see a couple of us have switched. I've switched to a more structured form of coloring book because I wanted to just enter into the meditative repetition. And I'm realizing that that gives me a lot more space to think about each stroke and each color and each thing that's happening, because I'm not thinking about the shape, right? The shape is breaker of chains. It's been provided for me. And I see somebody has said, I started with a geometric page, but switched to a blank page and tried to let go of the outcome. Long brush strokes, no specific shapes, no aligning of colors, working on surrender, less resistance. How has it been for you all? Is there anything you're switching out, anything you're learning anew, anything you're doing for the first time? Tell us about it. Like I said, we've got several alternative worships going this morning. Just to remind you, there's a dance party at Backroom Congregation. Several folks are napping because sleep is a gift from God and an act of resistance to a world that tells us we are so much less than rest. We've got people who are writing love poems to God. We've got people who are cooking, baking, knitting, all kinds of stuff on their own, I'm sure. And folks who are out hiking in this cold, because so many things can be acts of worship to God. So please write if there's something else that you want to let us know is an act of worship to God that might not be thought of as such. Share that with us now. I'm going to try one more thing. I was realizing that often it's other art that really inspires me. And so some of these names or images might provoke something in you. This is one of my favorites. I think that's where I'll start. What does it mean to be omnipotent? What does it mean if we think that God is? That's a word meaning all powerful. And how can we explore that? I think it's also interesting that it's space, right? It's a galaxy. Juan Pablo was just focusing on an alien. Becky says, I focus on color and feelings. Very powerful. Oh, gel pens. Love that. This is one way we connect to God, and there are so many others. So tell us about yours, and let's keep coloring. Welcome back, everybody. We are so glad that you are here and have been here. We are done with our coloring session for today, but before we go, I want to tell you about a few things that you can do to get involved in church life of all kinds. And hopefully we'll just leave each other with a few words of connection to God for the future. If you want to get involved in our service day with the night ministry next week, if you want to do game night on February 24th, or most especially if you'd like to help with Ash Wednesday. As many of you all know, Ash Wednesday has been and will be a huge part of Urban Village's witness in the world. We have in the past given ashes at train stations and corners across the city so that those who wished to meditate on the value of their life, on the presence of God in it, on that we are dust and to dust we shall return, and the ephemerality of all things, could have that opportunity, whether they had been to church recently or not. And it's been a big part of our life, but it would not be safe to do it exactly that way this year. So we're doing it in some slightly creative ways. We're going to be having a streamathon where you can get blessed online. We're going to be sending ash to some folks' houses, and we are going to be having a few opportunities around the city where people can get blessed from afar. So if you want to volunteer to help with any of that, particularly with stuffing and sending envelopes to the many, many people that we're going to send ashes to at home, we could really use your help. So fill out bit.ly/UVC Connect and express an interest in Ash Wednesday, or just email any of us. You can always email me at hannahk@urbanvillagechurch.org. We're so glad that you tried something new today, that you tried an experiment like we are trying an experiment, some new way of knowing God's presence in your life, of knowing that Jesus is incarnated not just then, but now in your flesh and in your body, and the things that you like to do and the things that you don't like to do and the things that you are discovering anew all the time, God's presence in. We'll be back to our regular streamed worship next Sunday at 10:30 a.m. and we invite you all to join. And if you'd like a little social time, a little face-to-face time, such as it is to see folks, please join right now our coffee hour at bit.ly/UVC coffee hour. UVC and C and H, the first letter in coffee and the first letter in hour, are capitalized. God bless you all. Go in peace and good courage, creativity and a vision and a heart for seeing acts of worship in everything you do, because there is nothing that is outside the realm of God and nothing that cannot be an act of praise and love to the one who made you and made you able to experience such joy in so very many things. Amen.